So Al Horford was balls the last 2 games.
He wasn't that good.
He was so nervous. I think he was so nervous.
Yeah.
I can help you make some, Gary. I can help you make some.
Pull up some stupid ads.
Chuck, we should just put Gary on the show.
Yeah.
Guaranteed funnier. Probably the greatest podcaster I've ever known, actually.
Gary?
Yeah.
What podcast is he on?
Him, Brad, and Sean used to have one called Which is Better. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yoder's obsessed with it.
All right, here we go.
But Gary would just pretend to be stupid and drive Sean insane. And it was fucking amazing. Yeah, I'm ready.
That's a trap I would walk into every day.
Oh, it's mine.
I think you have sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Right,
kind of also my hook, too.
Yeah.
Cry, bitch.
Cry, baby.
Oh, God. It's just so sad.
It's
friends. Loved ones. Gathered
lose,
friends
Chuck.
and family.
Kyle Lowry lost.
Don't you dare tell me how to feel right now.
We are gathered here to remember a life that was a beautiful
Tyler Hero
moment.
lost.
Oh my God. You will play the second half.
A team that was so promising and the light was extinguished
There's so much
in
depth.
one fell pull-up three-pointer.
And then they only played 6.
He was tired. He short-armed it.
Your
There's
2022
no legs.
Miami Heat, who overcame massive obstacles,
Should have slipped in, Jimmy.
such as signing Kyle Lowry, such
One
as
too many
trading
charges.
for Kyle Lowry, giving $90 million to Duncan Robinson, and yet they still had all the promise, all the hope, only to leave us, to bereave us. Now to say a few words, if he can comport himself. Miami Heat superfan from the days of Harold Miner, Chuck Anderson. Chuck, please edify
In Matt Geiger cosplay.
the congregation.
Guys,
He did
it's just,
dress as Matt Geiger.
I'm not sad that it's ended. I'm happy that it happened. This is tears of joy.
This is like after a pregnant lady blasts out one of those kids, right?
The feelings of pain.
Yes.
And I'm almost relieved because it was so hard on me as a person. My relationships have suffered. People in my life might not want to be my friend anymore because of my text messages.
Facts
Jimmy
on
Butler
facts.
humping people. I put people's heads to where Jimmy Butler was the hip thrusting. And now that I have no friends. Now I have no friends.
The ghost of the Boston Celtics has haunted your franchise. The ghost of a wigged Michael Chiklis laughing in your face.
They should twerk on Red Auerbach's statue.
Ashes
Twerk on it.
to ashes, dust to dust, culture to culture. Bang Bros to crypto.com.
FTX. It's
FTX.
It's the X. We're calling it the X.
Amen. Anything we need to add?
No.
No, I think it's
Done. All right. And welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, here once again with my buddies through the miracle of computer phone. Here with a visibly grieving Chuck Anderson.
Hey now.
And with John Burr, who is a little too giddy. Honestly, read the room, John.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I am sad. I mean, this is my finals nightmare matchup because I'm still way too butthurt about losing to the Warriors and just don't like this Boston Celtics team, or at least one very prominent member of it who's playing very well or very
Hustle
poorly.
Award winner Marcus Smart.
Jeez. Nothing worse. Do you feel my pain now, Chuck?
I spent a solid 6 days digging more into the NBA Hustle Award. I found nothing. Bunch of fake addresses for fake companies renting out empty floors of office buildings. There's no data trail. There's no paper trail on how this award came to be and who created it and who named it. Anyways, I'm gonna keep looking into it.
It's the deep throat of NBA awards.
It is. Hey, it's a tough time to be, Chuck. I know. We're supposed to start with like just anecdotes of where we've been. John, you've been all over the place. Chuck, you spent a whole week in Las Vegas.
I survived.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
Is there a highlight, a memory you want to share before we dive more into your pain of Sunday's loss?
I saw a play about a bunch of clowns who murder each other, and all of the clown deaths, when someone was shot, glitter flew out of that person. That's how you know that they were shot. So it was fantastic.
It's about the Phoenix Suns.
It's called Clown Bar 2, which I'm not sure if even there was a Clown Bar 1, but it was tremendous. In memory, they gave us these noses. So I'll wear this clown nose for the rest of the show.
Chuck is now wearing a clown nose.
I do feel a bit like a clown for having expectations.
Like WC Fields.
I feel, yes.
We talked, you don't regret the ride. You're just happy for the moments of joy.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like the raw emotional feeling, do you kind of have any wish that Game 6 Jimmy never happened? Game 7 Jimmy never happened? Because you guys were going out sad. Everyone thought the wheels have fallen off the car, off the wagon. This is over. They're limping to the finish line. Everyone thought the Celtics were going to win at home in Game 6. They did not. And then all of a sudden we got the excitement of Game 7, and then this is pain. And again, I didn't really have a team I was rooting for. I found myself cheering for the Celtics. My wife, Abby, asked me why. She said, is it because you hate Chuck? I said, no, I don't know. I can't tell why I'm watching the Celtics. I'm kind of pulling. I find myself pulling.
It's not your fault, Keith. It's all the subliminal messaging coming from the media telling us that the Celtics are a better team.
Yeah.
And they have
Jason
more
Tatum
talent,
is the chosen one.
And Jaylen Brown, but the best player in the series, if you paid attention, was James Q. Butler.
Certainly for 4 of the 7 games he was.
For 4 of the 7 games, 3 games, 2.5 games, he wasn't looking right.
Right. How do we even judge Jimmy Butler for 4 of the games, give or take, he looked like the best player on the planet, period.
I mean, unstoppable.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the other ones, it was like, I guess he's hurt.
And then Peyton Pritchard starts a lawnmower that is his patella tendon.
We call that a Jordan Poole around these parts.
I need Peyton Pritchard to start my lawnmower. That's not a euphemism. My lawnmower doesn't work. I'm trying to fix it. Yeah.
So, after those 2 games where, his shots might not have been working, those cortisone shots or whatever they're called. They didn't
I feel
work.
like Jimmy's reached the stage where, like, when I was around 35, I had always had this thing where I was like, I'm always going to bartend 1 day a week just to, like, I don't know, stay humble and have cash to bet on things and like get I don't know,
little walking around money.
Yeah. And then I hit about 35 and it took me so long to recover from that 1 day running around on my feet that I was like, this isn't worth it anymore. Like for every day I worked, I had to have an entire day off.
Well, was it merely a thing where they're like, the doctor tells Jimmy like, hey man, I got this super shot. It's basically the Wolverine juice from Logan. It'll make you okay. But like
James Woods from Any Given Sunday.
Yeah. Your heart will explode if we give this to you twice.
Right.
Like, when do you want it? And then it's like, all right, we're down 3-2. Give it to me now. This is the one time my body can handle it. And it lasted for basically, maybe 96 hours, 72 hours.
Man, whatever they gave him, they could have given to Tyler Hero and PJ Tucker, who didn't play.
They did not actually.
Half.
No, they Tyler Hero's like, give it to me. I'm ready. I'm ready to risk my life. And the doctor's
like,
okay, sure. And then they switched out the placebo.
Yes, he got
needle.
sugar.
They're like,
water.
we're actually not going to make this guy all right. We're gonna roll without him. No, but do you regret the hope of the game 6 and 7? Okay,
it was beautiful. I got to watch Game 7 with my son last night. The highlight of this is the first time I could kind of make him care.
Does he have PTSD?
Good job keeping your son up to midnight, Chuck.
Yeah, he was up real late.
Thanks, NBA.
My favorite part is him saying Marcus smart, more like Marcus dumb. And that's like peak 8-year-old humor.
Classic.
Killing me. Was rightfully disgusted by majority of the calls, including the 3-point shot that was removed 20 minutes after the shot landed. And I didn't even know what shot they were talking about.
Is
I had
this
no
the
idea.
Struce?
Yeah,
Is this
the
the
Struce
Struce
shot where one atom of his sneaker fell on the 3-point line.
We don't need to act like he didn't step out of bounds.
We don't I don't know.
It has its own issues, but we don't need to act like he didn't step out of bounds.
All right, so whatever.
It wasn't a full Sean Elliott. He wasn't above it.
Why was it not? Why'd you wait 45 minutes? Has the score changed since the end of regulation last night? Have they removed more points from the Miami Heat's total?
I loved. Here's the thing.
It's like fantasy football.
Let me put on my ref jersey. It's Memorial Day. We're recognizing all those who served. I am.
Well, let me
is it a Steve Jobby ref jersey?
Why don't you take my clown nose as well, Keith?
Yeah, let me put my own clown nose on and defend the referees. I loved how all the people who complain about refereeing, everyone just basically confessed last night on my Twitter feed, saying I had no idea you could review a call and then take the points away after the fact. So to me, that says everyone announcing, hey, I haven't really paid attention to the NBA closely in a long time. I think the amount of time that passed was awkward. There's no question. Normally, it's fixed by the next timeout, the next stoppage. But all through for years now, they don't stop the game to review. This is an improvement. We don't stop the game at that moment and say, let's go to the monitor. Let's go check it out to see if Struce stepped out of bounds. They make a note. And by the way, I assume everyone on the Miami Heat bench, Eric Spoelstra talked about after the game, like, hey, this was, it was confusing how long it took to take that away and it affected us. But the referee will yell to the scores table, check that. We're going to check that to make sure they know that that's something we're probably going to review. So I assume the Heat knew that it's possible those points were getting taken away. The announcing team, God bless the announcing team, who has not totally fully been there, mentally checked in. They could have at some point alerted the fans watching at home, like that play will probably be reviewed or something, to set you up for maybe these points could be taken away. I do think maybe the amount of time that passed makes it strange and surprised everyone because you're exaggerating a little, Chuck, but it was solidly 10 minutes, right? It was a full 10 minutes of real time. Yeah, it was.
I had to go once.
It was very long.
They re-showed the shot. I was like, what shot was that?
Yeah.
Also, the way it affected momentum, the Heat had got the score down within 8. They had an 8-point deficit.
Yeah.
It put them with Boston having the ball, an 11-point lead now. Boston didn't have to
single digits was gone just like that.
Single digits was gone right then, and then Boston scored again, and it was just like what?
Yeah, it's checking your bank balance after a trip, and you're like, what happened?
After Vegas,
seeing
what they charge for.
So now, would you
withdrawals.
prefer to go back to them stopping the game? Because this is a thing where most people have considered this a market improvement, where you take care of these things that can be taken care of without using the in-game referees. You don't bother them. You don't stop the actual game speed. Now that we experience this strange moment,
I think you just call it and move on. You don't want to
review anything anymore.
Yeah. I think you get 5 minutes.
Review.
I think you get 5 minutes. That's it. If you can't figure it out in 5 minutes, then it needs to.
Well, they might have figured it out, but they're just not going to change the score until there's a stoppage to explain. I don't know.
Whatever.
We're coming up on the time of the NBA's legacy where they're going to have to add stoppage time, which will be the death knell. every
little tweak and rule change always has these unintended consequences. This one was all right, that was weird. It turns out the amount of time that actually passed was very strange. And I mean, I'm not saying I don't feel, I'm not numb to the argument, to the cries of Heat fans and basketball fans being like, that was weird. Yeah, it was weird. But it's something that the NBA has been doing, and this time it played out in a very
doesn't happen
weird
a lot.
Game 7 way.
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot, and when it happens in a Game 7, in a space where like one team's trying to mount a comeback for 48 minutes, like,
and
Miami
usually
like trying to scrape the whole game, and
usually it's a 3-2. Usually it's you just lost a point. And no one is a big deal. Going from 3-0 is more shocking. Like, what? And then you
when every basket was difficult, and and a basket from a role player that the Miami's role players,
those were rare.
But Miami's role players, anyone not named Bam or Jimmy, went 10 for 40.
Oh, it's hard to hear. That was in tribute to Jimmy Butler going 10 for 40 in games 4 through 5 combined. Good job.
Yes.
Good job, role players. Let's do. We're so into it because we have to be, because it was such a huge Game 7. It was like our first good playoff game in, I don't know what, 3 weeks.
It's been a minute.
We went 16 days between last 2-minute reports.
Wow. Is that real?
Yeah. It was like May 11th to May 27th. No last.
I was in my 30s the last time.
Here's the thing: those referees don't get paid if they can't write the reports. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no idea. Let's do our breakfast, guys.
Does Steve Jobby get paid?
I have more on Steve Jobby in a second.
Okay, sorry.
John, what's your breakfast? What you been up to? What's your breakfast?
My breakfast is en route, gentlemen. It's being delivered to me right now. I'm actually recording from my assistant's house, and he's going to get to-go Cracker Barrel.
Hey now,
nice.
Did you
Have you guys used
the Uncle
To-Go
Herschel's?
Cracker Barrel?
What's the order?
Well, Chuck taught me this long ago.
Oh yeah,
if you use the app, you unlock untold, undiscovered worlds.
Yeah.
So I found this way to just order biscuits, like ham biscuits or bacon biscuit, and then like you get to add 2 sides, and it's somehow like $3.99.
Yeah.
So we're about to have like a gluttonous amount of food and throw most of it in the garbage, unfortunately, and just for almost no money. Now, I will say that the pickup experience at Cracker Barrel is not as refined as you would think from one of the greatest establishments in all of the land. So don't think that you can actually just sit out in your car and wait for them to bring it to the spot.
You need to go in the old country store. You got to stay.
I have an idea that may be a mandate from above, just to get you in that country store.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. You got to consider buying like a Michael W. Smith CD. Got to buy
next thing you know, you're
sticks of hard candy,
Jeff Foxworthy cassette tape, and like 65 bags of jelly.
They probably have full blown Jeff Foxworthy dolls like Woody from Toy Story, I assume. Yeah. That's a very extravagant breakfast. I'm happy for you, John. The add-on is just like the secret unlockable key to a lot of things. I remember going to some restaurant where I was ready to splurge on a dinner, and I couldn't decide between like do I want a surf or a turf type thing, and you could do both, obviously. But like this thing, I'm thinking, all right, you know what? With this meal, I also maybe want some scallops, and I just asked him about a la carte. Like, hey, can you just add scallops to a meal? And it was something like. It was like $3 a scallop, and it was like the cheapest price I could have imagined. It's like a $40 plate thing, and like, oh, each scallop is $3. I'm like, I think your math is wrong. I want 10 scallops added to to this other entree I've ordered. The add-on can be magic. Chuck, what's your breakfast?
Well, I had to drop my kid off this morning after keeping him up until midnight watching ESPN.
Why is he yawning so much? I don't know. He was in bed.
I don't know. Yeah, so I dropped him off and then went to a gas station, needed some caffeine. So I got an adrenaline shock. Didn't go with bang. Adrenaline shock.
You need to give that to
and the shock
PJ
is spelled,
Tucker.
yes, shock spelled SHOK.
Well, you could have given that to your kid before you dropped them off.
That sometimes think about giving him a shot of 5-hour energy. Here you go.
Just kid. Right before you drop them off. Yeah.
So I got an adrenaline shock. And then I got me a Robert Irvine protein bar, peanut butter and jelly.
Ooh.
And then had a impulse purchase at the cash register. They had rescue. Also for the show,
Restaurant Impossible, John. R.I.
Restaurant
Restaurant
Impossible.
Impossible, Robert Irvine. Sorry, go ahead.
Thanks, guys.
Big whiff.
So at the register, they had cinnamon toast crunch flavored popcorn that it's covered in, this is their words, Cinnadust. And it tasted like cinnamon toast crunch, but with a popcorn flavor. So it was incredible.
I think on the streets, Cinnadust is sold by the kilo.
Yeah, you can get
that's
a good price.
That's a controlled substance.
Yeah, I think they cut it with fentanyl.
My breakfast was I had a single chocolate chip muffin. It was a gluten-free chocolate chip muffin. It was very good. No complaints. Ate it very, very hot. Didn't have time for it to cool. It was also very, very messy. Lots of melted chocolate in the beard and whiskers and things. Took a little bit to take care of that before we started recording, because I don't want you guys to have to see that, or those, dozens of you looking on YouTube who might see this video once posted. It's just too unpleasant. Anyway, those were our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we move to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong in a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA, although big day, we've been already talking about the league a little bit. Chuck, anything you would like to just, make right, apologize for?
Yeah. So last week, we had Kelly Dwyer on, who's awesome, amazing. And I was reminiscing about my basketball fandom in the 90s. So in the mid 90s is when I became a real big basketball fan. I loved Shaquille O'Neal. He rapped, he acted, he dunked and broke backboards. I loved Shaq, right? I got it confused. I thought I loved Hakeem so much that it made me root against Shaq in the first finals because he beat Patrick Ewing, and I got the order mixed up. So I just love Hakeem. I love Hakeem Olajuwon. That was it. That's really the takeaway. All my memories are kind of fuzzy due to a lot of childhood trauma and a significant amount of, head injuries that I've had across the years. So yeah, sorry to anyone. Olajuwon played. He played
he played the Knicks first.
The Knicks first, and then he beat Shaq in '95. So I got the order wrong.
It's all right. Remembering history, it's hard. It all runs together.
It's a difficult thing.
None of us stopped you. Not even Kelly Dwyer, the great historian, stopped to correct you. I'll also apologize. Kelly Dwyer was talking about some of the white guys on the Celtics bench, and I'll admit, I didn't know who he was talking about. There's a guy on the Celtics named Sam Hauser.
Yeah.
Don't know who that is.
No.
Apparently he's one of the white boys sitting on the bench there wearing shorts.
He's Doogie's brother.
Is he in the ML Carr role?
Also, I barely knew. I admitted this on the show. I barely knew that Nick Stauskas was on the team when he checked in. I'm like, who is that?
This
Sam Hauser guy. I don't know who that is. So
I knew that because all the Celtics fans I'm friends with love to make the South Castillo joke still.
Classic.
Remember that great joke?
Also, you know what? I'm going to apologize. I mispronounced last week's winner of the iShop. I mispronounced his name a lot, Reggie Bullock. I was back and forth with Bullock, and there's a reason this happened. I felt like I'd learned it, where I never made the mistake. Because I knew, all right, Seth Bullock, that's Deadwood. Bullock is Reggie Bullock. But now there was I think it was the Kevin Harlan, where it wasn't just Bullock, it became Bullock. And it became like, oh, wait, is it Reggie Bullock or Bullock? And the hard Bullock has really thrown my brain. It scrambled it. And now I just started going back to the old Bullock. And I'm sorry. Try to get every player's name correctly pronounced as much as possible. I messed that up a few times. My bad. John, anything you would like to make right in the universe?
I'm just going to apologize for being here because the last two times I've missed, I think, are my favorite episodes of Fast Break Breakfast because the K-Don, man, Kelly Dwyer is awesome on the show. And then the time before that was DeFore. So if you're not listening to the non-full squad issues of Fast Break Breakfast, you're making a mistake because the guests that come on here are excellent and you should check them out.
We're happy to have you back, John. Your color. Yeah. We need your color, man. Why wake up in
I've
the
been
morning?
so miserable these last conference finals too, because I was rooting for the Heat, but then Kyle Lowry's existence is so frustrating to me, and the way he plays is so torturous that I just really don't have a dog in these fights.
Kyle Lowry's, yeah, like you've always really just liked watching him play. I mean, I cheered for him on the
Yeah,
the
you
Raptors.
were rooting for him in the Raptors.
I loved him on the Raptors. I found myself disgusted by just the stuff he was doing. Like his entire game was in partnership. I assume most people would hate this. It's just in partnership with the officials. Like everything Kyle Lowry does is I'm going to fall down and try to get a call. And like the Game 7 performance, I mean, it was brutal.
I mean, it cost us the game. He tried to draw a foul on a screen, fell down, and had to burn a timeout.
Oh yeah, he did that one
because he was hunting a strange foul for no reason. I mean, it works. And I get it. You're trying to, provide some sort of advantage at the margins, and if you're a competitor, you're looking for advantages. But man, it's heartbreaking when like it's a couple possessions that matter, and one of them we lost because he was hunting, on a screen for a loose ball foul.
And even the play that the Heat challenged and won, where he drew a charge. Like another option there is to just play defense and not have to use your challenge to get the call right. Like he frequently chooses, instead of playing defense, I'm going to fall down and force the officials to do something. Like they're forcing the officials' involvement. Yeah, it's not a lot of fun.
But I mean, it's not like you could just point at him. I mean, Marcus Smart's doing that. It's not worse on the other end.
They're both doing the same thing, and it was really funny. There was like
unstoppable force, immovable object.
There was one when Kyle Lowry ran directly into Marcus Smart and falls down, and he gets the foul call.
I'm surprised the fabric of space time.
Yeah. I was like, Kyle Lowry, what are you doing? Then I'm like, oh, is it? Well, yeah, win some, lose some. You play with fire, you get burned.
And then whomever won the Marcus Smart Kyle Lowry jerkathon now faces Draymond Green for the world championship of it all. So I mean,
Draymond does it, but like he also. I don't know if we're ranking floppers. I don't think Draymond just abuses the referees and tries to get away with a lot. It's less of like the trying to get the charges all the time, constantly.
Draymond is a violent psychopath. Kyle Lowry does non-basketball plays and is kind of like an angle shooter. He's like, the fat white guy at the gym who's playing like a different game than everybody else. And then Marcus Smart is both of these things.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's I'm trying
chaotic evil, chaotic neutral. What's the?
Yeah, I'm trying to
come up with the chart and we'll figure it out.
Find a way. The only thing that's cool about it is like when a team loses, I don't have to be like, I can just be like when the Heat lost, I was like, Chuck, listen, the Heat didn't lose. Kyle Lowry lost.
No.
The Mavs
traded Kyle Lowry for
Mark
Goran
Cuban
Dragic.
Lost.
Maybe just a Goran Dragic out there.
I did think Kyle Lowry hit some huge shots, and he can be really effective.
Game 6, he woke up.
Oh no,
Game 6, absolutely huge plays to get that victory.
Yeah, he's been that kind of balancing force for Miami, and oddly enough, the reason why we could get into early offense, and even after a make, he would push and kind of get our. Because doing anything against that Celtics defense when it's set is horrific. So he did get us a lot of good baskets, just pushing off rebounds and things like that. But it was, it's a hard thing to watch, and a great player aging in front of your eyes, and he just ran out of steam for us.
Yep. Those were our apologies. Before we get to our steak and eggs, best thing, got to tell you guys about. The Memphis Grizzlies are hosting a 3-on-3 tournament. They're partnering with the Junior NBA to offer a 3-on-3 Juneteenth youth basketball tournament. It's going to be on Saturday, June 18th. It's over at the MAM Grizzlies Center. So if you're anywhere near Memphis, sign your youth team up. It's just $25 per team. And for that $25, kids ages 13 and under can compete with their friends while receiving jerseys and other giveaways. Spaces are filling up fast, so visit memgrizzyouth.com/ Juneteenth 3v3 for full details and to sign your team up.
Is anybody else worried that Quentin Richardson and the Ghost Ballers are going to show up for this tournament? Trying to get that bag.
All right, steak and eggs, best thing. What's the best thing you saw in the last week? John, what's your steak and eggs?
I think I found a silver lining to the no more TNT games, because I think I realized that that's going to mean like no more Draymond Green showing up on Inside the NBA right after he has like a clutch block at the end of a game or something like that. So I've been really despondent about it being ESPN only. Also, another silver lining, correct me if I'm wrong, does the ESPN presentation and cameras seem better than the TNT?
The pregame and postgame is not better.
No, deeply, deeply.
The pregame was just horrifying,
insane.
Actually, during the game presentation, I don't know about the cameras. Maybe the cameras are in fact better.
Seems like we get like one extra roving like drone camera that is of a different high definition. For
the strangest thing about Game 7, I hope Jeff Van Gundy's okay.
Oh God!
But the storyline of Mike Breen missing the Game 7 because he tested positive for COVID.
He clearly got
visibly ill Jeff Van Gundy on the entire broadcast. I mean, he already baseline does not look healthy.
No.
And like looked even more wan, a little bit paler, and he wasn't talking. You could hear his voice, and like he would go so long, like minutes would pass without him saying anything, and then they would throw it to him, and he'd be like,
"Hey, man,
I think that's a charge." And it was like, get this man out of here! Like, get him
very
on the
low
phone.
energy. Yeah,
like the guy's not okay, and like that was definitely clouding my experience of the game. It's like watching. You know, I used to play fantasy football and was just a kid and didn't know anything about like injuries. And now when I play fantasy football, I'm just thinking about how like badly the players are hurting all the time. And it's like, it's kind of uncomfortable. Like that guy left the game, and I'm like, I need you to get back in there and score me 4 more points. And it's like, but he's hurt. Like, but he's gonna try to play because he's a football player. But anyway, this was the same. Like, this was the same. Just like Jeff Van Gundy needs to go home, man. He needs to not be there talking, breathing around people. And at the very least,
we have a spare Van Gundy. Just make the swap.
He could weigh in on this stuff. He could go over to Secaucus. He could weigh in just like the people erasing the Max Strus 3-pointers. Like you can do this job from distance. His like he wasn't giving us that much with his little brief. Like it took all of his energy to say 5 words, and then they would go back to Mark Jackson. That was so odd. Chuck, what's your best thing?
Well, my best thing this week is I'm gonna go ahead and be the loud person telling everyone how great Jimmy Butler is. And I know we're not going to remember this playoffs because that's the way history goes.
Yes, we are. He's done it twice now. He's done it twice.
This was, dragging injured teams to places they shouldn't be. Is a talent on its own. Winning a championship obviously is the goal, but when you could take basically rebuild a franchise by yourself, and this Jimmy idea, this thing that everyone thought Butler was coming to Miami to retire, and to have built around him to get as close to a championship as you have in 2 of 3 years, really just speaks to his greatness. It confuses the hell out of people who don't watch the Miami Heat because they don't know what his ceiling is. And he really isn't in a place in his career to reach that ceiling for an entirety of a season. But for 16 games, there's nobody I want on my team in the NBA. Then there's 2 or 3 guys that I would pick over Jimmy Butler right now. So, James, you did it, man. I hope you and Rachel Nichols have a fantastic offseason, and everything happened, and your coffee company takes off, and you're doing all sorts of cool stuff.
I think Jimmy Butler has cemented himself, at the very least, a Bernard King type legacy, and probably at best like a Dominique Wilkins, Charles Barkley type legacy, where you remember these guys even though they never got there,
I think it's different than Wilkins because you remember specifically, I think Jimmy Butler, that he's just a postseason guy. Like,
Right.
Like he's just one of those dudes who can do it. He had 35. He had 6 games of at least 35 points. That's the most such games in a single playoff run since Kawhi Leonard in 2018-19. Like he shows up in these games. And there was times after the first couple rounds, we were like, Jimmy Butler's the MVP of the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
You know, like he's playing better than anyone. And then
my argument,
series,
he should have won the Eastern Conference MVP. Should have won that Larry Bird trophy. They were going to give it to him. And Jason Tatum hitting that last shot, that big 3 with Strus that put him up 12 late. I mean, they relinquished that whole lead, but like, I get it.
He's first in box plus minus, first in VORT.
I'm fine.
Offensive box.
Like you have to include
better game scores.
You have to include the bad games from Jimmy. Like I don't know what the math. I don't know what the math is.
I think he's going to have offseason knee surgery from what I've been reading. And that's what happens when you're hurt. You can't really do it every game. And
Chuck, what was your opinion? We haven't talked about this. What's your opinion on the Jimmy Butler 3-pointer? The going for the lead on a fast
He's
break.
The one I wanted to take the shot.
Yeah.
He's the one I wanted to take the shot. And, the momentum of that game was such that, like, it felt, when he let that go, it felt like it was going in.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
He's one of the weirdest players, too, because he's a guy whose game is somewhat built around getting to the line. But then at the end of games, I don't really want him to shoot free throws. He's a weird player.
He's so weird. I
want him taking it 10. I mean, obviously it was deflating and I knew the game was over when that shot didn't go in.
Right.
But like, it was that's the shot you want, man. That's the hero shot.
Everyone's, I think it's fair to correctly point out that if he drove towards the bucket, he probably almost, I don't know, maybe it's 70%, maybe it's only 60%, maybe, like that he's going to score and you tie the game. But like, I think the math,
it's like 20%,
not even on not even trying to feel it out. Like what you think he should have done. I think the math is pretty equal. If you think you have a 70% chance of scoring a layup, or if you think you have a 30% or 35% chance of making that open 3-pointer, that gives you the lead though. Like 70% chance of you tying the game. And I would put it lower than 70%, but like, it's a 60% chance of tying the game, but then the Celtics have the ball and you've already played every second of the game, like going into overtime, which is the best case scenario for you at that point after making the shot, is playing 5 more minutes. Or you have,
I don't think he wants to play 5 more minutes.
Exactly. Or if you have a 30% chance of giving yourself the lead, that probably gives you a 60 to 70% chance of winning the game. Like if you can,
I think the 3 is the correct move.
Yeah, I think the 3 is absolutely the correct move.
Yeah.
Even this is like the kicking your extra point, and not to keep talking about football, but like this is the kicking the extra point to go into overtime. Like why would you possibly do that if you have a good chance to like get a 2-point conversion and win the game? It's riskier. Like I thought Jimmy Butler made a great decision to shoot it. And obviously an awesome game. And seriously, the collapse of my new team, the Celtics, I felt nauseous. I'm joking. I didn't have a rooting interest, honestly. I kind of enjoyed this team, but like them choking away the final couple minutes and the incredible Heat run. It wasn't even like a run. I mean, it was
feel like a run,
but it was so slow and just like, all right, I guess they're gonna let Oladipo score and not foul him. And then it's like, you didn't score again. These teams, the Celtics really needed. They need Jon Morant to come teach this class on time wasting. Where until the final 2 minutes, like where the clock stops after a made bucket, you just don't inbounds the ball until the referee forces you to inbounds the ball, and then you roll it in and you don't touch it. If Marcus Smart
rolled it in multiple times, but he was doing it at the wrong time.
Well, he did it too quick. Like Marcus Smart wasted like 3 seconds a couple of times. Like go check Jon Morant's tape. Jon Morant will show you how to waste 25 seconds. Like, and you never even get to that point. But like, as the Celtics were choking that away, I was seriously, just as a general NBA fan, in disbelief. This is unreal. Like, are you going to miss the finals?
They did this.
Is Bill Simmons' dad going to die over this?
Yeah.
That's what was running through my mind.
I mean, that would have been like a Bill Buckner-esque loss, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's probably what gives me pause for a Celtics victory in the finals. Their late game execution has been terrible all year. They do a lot of your turn, my turn thing, and it's not specifically beautiful basketball. And when you're up against a defense that might be getting back Gary Payton too, and Otto Porter's going to be healthy. Man, I don't know about this series.
I think the Celtics are going to win the most quarters. That's the only prediction.
Don't do that to me.
The late game execution absolutely gives me pause. It seems like a massive advantage.
I think if you have a big argument for the Warriors winning, I would say it is like, big game moments experience.
What's awesome about this Warriors Celtics matchup is for the first 41 games of the season, I found this interesting. The first 41 games of this season, the Warriors were number 1 in net rating, number 1 in defense. For the final 41 games of this regular season, the Celtics were number 1 in net rating, number 1 in defense. These are the 1 and 2 teams in defense for the whole year. I like that symmetry a lot. Here's my best thing. We've talked before on the show about, for lack of a better term, the pure champions. Not to get controversial, the teams that are self-built, the teams that do not have a super team. Like, guess what? LeBron and AD didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. The Kawhi and Paul George super team did not make the playoffs. The KD and Kyrie super team didn't win a game in the playoffs. So I look at these teams. Yes, they are loathed franchises. People do not like the Celtics. People like cheering against the Warriors. But this accomplishment of these two teams with essentially drafting their entire rosters, like most of the players on the Warriors have only played games for the Warriors in their entire career. Like even down to the 15th man, like Damian Lee, I think he played 10 games for the Hawks. This is undrafted rookie, but like he spent 4 years on the Warriors. And then the Warriors even bring back like Iguodala. They're bringing back guys who've been on the team before. And then you look at the Celtics and like you draft Tatum, you draft Jaylen Brown, you draft Marcus Smart. You bring back Al Horford, like a guy who played tons of games on you. Even like
you've gotten Horford twice, so I think that supersedes that he was drafted by the Hawks.
It kind of counts. All right, the one guy who like is new, you traded 2 first-round picks for a backup and Derek White. Like you made the investment, you had your squad. Even like the Aaron Nesmith, like you drafted him. Daniel Tice, who left. You signed him as an undrafted rookie. You decided, hey, we got to bring this guy back. You got the band back together. They're doing this basically all with their own guys. I find that very encouraging. By the way, do you guys know what Daniel Tice's nickname is, according to Basketball Reference?
Oh, dear. Let's hear it.
Vanilla Tice.
Oh, no.
I love it. No. Hadn't heard that before, though.
Tice, baby.
Could be Tice, baby.
So.
I am just like, I like it that these guys, these teams, the Warriors, like, this is a homegrown squad. Even you consider them a big market team. This gives hope to the whatever. I mean, it's like the Bucks did it. The Bucks drafted Giannis. They traded for Chris Middleton when he was basically a nobody. This is like a homegrown, like you built your own roster. And also they're two of the best teams for the whole season. I'm actually like weirdly into this. I don't know, this era. I think it's an era of the NBA possibly where it is less about maybe teaming up. I don't know. Maybe that's just a result based analysis. Maybe next year it's going to be.
No, I think it's there's a future in the NBA where it doesn't make fiscal sense to have 2 $45 million players on your roster. And you need those early years, before you're super maxed for three of your players. You need to be able to build out a roster around those guys, and those early contracts help, and it's given. I mean,
obviously those cost controlled, like late first rounders kind of help, but like both these teams, they've paid their guys. Like the Warriors have paid through the nose in luxury tax. Like they're able to do it because maybe they are a big market team and, they bring a lot more money. So thus Lakers all right with just like kind of burning money, but like they made the proper decision to just burn money by keeping D'Angelo Russell to maintain that salary slot of like a $30 million player that they could then eventually turn into Wiggins. But like Wiggins is the only guy, who wasn't basically a homegrown guy. And then the other guys who play for the Warriors, it's all minimum guys like Bielitsa, Gary Payton too. Like anyone could have signed those players. Also, this could be a best thing. You guys see Kent Bazemore?
Oh, man.
Oh, Lord.
Kent Bazemore, who chose to go to the Lakers to chase a ring on the Lakers. He turned down a larger contract offer from the Warriors to go
Could've
play
been Kent
for
Bazemore.
the Lakers. And he basically got DMP'd for a lot of the season. He did not earn himself any more money. And now all his buddies on the Warriors are headed back to the finals. And
Imagine that text thread.
that's unbelievable. Honestly,
What
and
you
like
doing this week?
Maze? Should we get him on the show? Maybe
Let's get him on the show.
This might be, I know this is like antithetical to you guys, but I think the reason that found myself cheering for the Celtics, I've never liked the Celtics. Like, I don't like their jerseys. It's ingrained in me from like childhood. I cheered against Larry Bird. Like, I didn't like, but like this collection of players, I love them. Like, I love how they fit together. I love watching them play. I like whatever, like Jason Tatum is so good at defense. And like, he's also so good at offense. Like his two-way potential is great. I like Jaylen Brown. Like Al Horford is awesome. By the way, I think we're contracted.
Al Horford is on the Jimmy Butler plays way harder in the playoffs.
So 141 playoff games for Al Horford. I think every podcaster has to say before making the NBA finals. Congrats to him. He, by the way, he should be thanking all his teammates for carrying him to the finals over his last two games. He seemed nervous. His shots were very, very off. But like Derek White, I love. Like Marcus Smart, Derek White playing together. Like that is fun basketball, as long as Marcus Smart isn't drawing charges. It's just fun stuff.
Or leading the team in field goal attempts.
Yeah. But they really did it, and it's like the Celtics gave away Desmond Bane, and they still made the finals. I can't even make fun of them for giving away Desmond Bane anymore. Good job, Boston and Warriors. Let's do our worst things. Those are our best things. The opposite of our steak and eggs best thing is our cream of wheat worst thing. I'll start. It's brief. We talked about this earlier a little bit. Steve Javie has one job on the broadcast, and it's to explain the rules. And in Game 6, there was a flagrant foul review where Marcus Smart grabbed Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown dribbled past him. Jaylen Brown's hand reaches around, kind of smack. I believe it was Jaylen Brown. Ends up smacking. Was it Marcus Smart? Or maybe it was PJ Tucker. I've gotten all my things all messed up. There was a foul called, an offensive foul called, that they went to review to see if it was a flagrant foul. All you can review for at this point is to see if it's a flagrant foul or not. You can't change the foul. You can't do this. They bring on Steve Javie. In my mind, Steve Javie's tie is untied. His shirt is disheveled. He didn't know he was going to be called on. He has no idea what's happening in the basketball game. His only job is to explain the rules to the common folk who are announcing the game and those watching, and to say, like, this is what the rules say. And everyone's like, hey, can we change this to a foul on Marcus Smart? And he says, Steve Javie's like, yeah, if you can identify any parts from the start of the action to the end of the action. And that is all completely incorrect. If the play had been challenged, you can change a foul call to anything, but the play was not challenged. We're just merely reviewing a flagrant foul to see if it's a flagrant foul or not. And you cannot change the foul. So Steve Javie comes on, the only time I believe he was called on the entire game, explains the rules incorrectly for the millions watching, and then leaves again. Just what's going on? I mean, maybe I care too much about, like, hey,
Clutch Gene.
People would be less upset at the officials and the rules if just they knew the rules and knew what was going on. And his only job was to tell the rules right. He got it incorrect. That was my worst thing. What do you guys have, John? What's your
job?
What's your cream of wheat?
So I'm going to cherry pick from another segment on our show. I'm going to take my worst of the week from our croissant questionnaire.
Mm-hmm.
My worst is answering this question. Magnus asks, beloved listener Magnus, if you had to bet on any zero-time All-Star to win Finals MVP this year, who do you pick? Because unfortunately, my pick would probably be Marcus Smart or Jordan Poole. Two guys I loathe. So
why do you? I've missed this. Why do you dislike Jordan Poole so much? He's kind of fun.
So I've been insane homer. So I'm on the.
You're still mad at him.
Grabbed at the knee thing. So
please. That's like QAnon belief. You can't actually believe that he plucked his MCL.
And I will. I will storm the Oracle.
So that's the same thing.
That's a great question. The players who are not, which zero-time All-Star would you bet to win the Finals MVP? Yes, it's essentially between Marcus Smart Jordan Poole, maybe Kevon Looney. How about Time Lord? What if Time Lord's healthy?
Yeah, so that was
Time Lord
I'm
looks
thinking.
so unhealthy though, so I
He
can't do
was
it.
hobbled in game 7. It felt like, I think you're not looking at anybody other than Jordan Poole and Marcus Smart. That's possible for this specific question. But I don't think you're gonna.
Well, who do you got in that showdown then?
I think I think the Warriors are going to win. So Jordan Poole might have 5 30-point games. It's possible.
It's possible. I mean, that would be. I'm trying to think what he would have to do, and it also would have to be in combination. The narrative.
Yeah.
If the Warriors win, for Steph not to win Finals MVP, it's going to have to be some kind of remarkable thing.
He has to average like under 20 a game.
Yeah, but even then, it would have to be some kind of like really bad shooting splits too.
You have given me something to root for, Keith. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really hard. I feel like he's a very like if you think the Warriors are going to win, go ahead and lock in that Steph for Finals MVP vote.
Yeah,
I would feel like,
boy, that's a sick bet.
I
take that one to the pay window.
I mean, the Marcus Smart, like, what would he have to do? He'd have to average 20 points per game, like 25 and 5 or something, or maybe he could average more assists. Probably
he could have a couple
like at 18, 5 and 8
plays. At
get some game-winning blocks. There you go. Yeah, some steals, some strips.
I think I would say it's more likely Jordan Poole would do it because I think Marcus Smart will have a harder time stringing together consecutive.
The way I'm thinking, I think. If Jason Tatum has an off shooting series, then it could be wide open for anyone on the Celtics if they win the series. If like Tatum's at like a 35%, if he does a true Kobe tribute, I think like a 6 for 24 in a game 7. Yeah, but let's say if they pull out the win, then it would probably be, then you could get the narrative written for Jordan Poole to do it, for him to narratively overcome Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins leading the NBA.
Yeah, you're right.
Rebounds in the playoffs.
You're absolutely right.
So many people in my mind, Jordan Poole
Marcus Smart is so beloved that he just won Defensive Player of the Year when he's like the 3rd best defensive player on his own team.
He's already that's the triple crown that'll never be matched. Defensive Player of the Year, NBA Hustle Award winner, Finals MVP. Never ever that happened. Chuck, what's your worst thing?
My worst thing was being wrong about depth. Miami's depth didn't come to play. I thought the deep team was going to be the one in a street fight to make it happen. It ends up Miami.
I could have used more Deadman, Chuck. I'll be real.
My Deadman things were wrong. I mean, we lost our second leading scorer all series. Looked funky. He had his groin issue. PJ Tucker didn't play in the second half when he has been the one person to give Jason Tatum hell on our defense. The depth just didn't show up. Victor Oladipo played 33 minutes, which kind of is a thing that I would have thought meant we lost by 100 points last night. So the fact that he was taking like important shots in the fourth quarter,
I feel like he was really good though.
So can you guys settle a debate for me? Yeah. So I haven't been talking with some Warriors fans of note that I've started talking to during games, and they have started saying to me, and I think quite erroneously, that a healthy Tyler Hero swings the series.
So they needed buckets.
I just don't see that. I think Tyler Hero at this point, a very famous game notwithstanding, at this point is kind of like a regular season guy to me. Like, I don't think that's the guy who swings series. Do you feel differently, Chuck?
I mean, he looked bad all postseason. He wasn't right all postseason, and he wasn't the shots that he was getting to all year, because he could get you shots at the rim, shots in the mid-range, and he could hit a 3. All of it disappeared, which kind of makes me feel like it wasn't this. I watched 90% of the Heat games this year. Yeah. He looked incredible against any sort of defense most of the time. And even if they were like, he was the guy and Jimmy was out and Bam was out, there were stretches where he led the team in scoring, was averaging over 30 a game. he wasn't getting those shots, just weren't falling, and he wasn't getting the space that he was getting all year. And I don't know if that's just a byproduct of like playoff defenses ratcheting up and everybody focusing on him and seeing and breaking down film on what he does. Yeah, I don't know, but it just felt like he wasn't right. And
I think it's a lot of it. I think a lot of it is just the playoff focus of the defenses.
Yeah.
But like this
also,
specific series,
I thought Depot played really well on defense for long stretches.
He was
and
incredible
Tyler
on
Hero's not going to
defense.
do that.
yeah,
No, he's
I think
not, and that's the
this
trade-off.
specific series. I mean, the one Hero's not going to get open because the Celtics are awesome at defense,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they have the large defenders to harass him. And then on the defense, he just would have gotten targeted over and over. I
Yeah,
think
and
the
like
Oladipo
everybody was
element is
targeted.
yeah, the Oladipo element is incredible to me, that he just looked so healthy and he seemed clearly like the best option that the Heat needed to play. And like, that's just a huge win for him. I was doubtful that we would see that from him. And now
Yeah,
I guess are you guys are going to take care of him? Can the Heat even retain him?
So what I feel is going to happen is they got a trade ship in Duncan Robinson. We're getting into the offseason already, but they have $20 million and a guy that can hit 38% of his threes. I think that's valuable in today's NBA. So that could free up some space to give Oladipo a contract. They do have his bird rights, so they can match whatever is out there, and they might want to go over the cap for him. But I don't think there's a place for Duncan Robinson in this offense. We can't have multiple offensive threats that can get hunted on defense in the playoffs. It's just not a thing that can happen. It's too obvious that that Miami's weaknesses are the offensive players that kind of can get hunted. I think Tyler Hero might be able to another season in the weight room, another season kind of working on himself to where he isn't getting bullied by Derek White in the low post for
You
buckets.
guys want to bet on this?
In a game 7?
White on white crime.
Yeah, it just so I don't know. I think you give Depot money, another off season of rehabilitation and in the Heat system, he could end up being a guy that you could go to for buckets, could be the third scorer on a really good playoff team.
Yeah, you're right. Going back to the start of your point, that like the Heat's depth kind of totally betrayed them, and they couldn't find anyone to play.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going at the beginning of the playoffs. I thought, man, how there are 10 players I would play. And then one by one, everybody started like that, war of attrition. Deadman's unplayable. Caleb Martin, who I loved all year.
I thought Caleb Martin was going to be a thing.
Me too. He has the length to bother Tatum, but he was just making too many bonehead decisions on offense. And I don't know.
Tatum makes fools out of players.
That's
also
the thing, and I don't know how bad Caleb Martin was or how great Jason Tatum was.
Jason Tatum makes fools out of people. It's not fair.
The Heat finishing their season basically having to roll with like the Kyle Lowry, Oladipo, Gabe Vincent triumvirate. I think it was the right choice. But I love I would have never seen coming.
Gabe Vincent was his game 7 was a little poopy, but he was the one like steady factor, even in games we were getting blown out.
Yeah.
Well,
he was the guy that
kind
of seemed unshakable. Yeah. So that gives me hope that maybe he becomes, somebody that we can count on another year in the program. Could see him turn, maybe take a leap and become somebody you can count on and kind of supplant Kyle in the next couple years and have that steady point guard presence with experience in the system going forward. But I'm not upset at the Heat's future. I think this build is great. They built a championship caliber team around Jimmy Butler. Now it needs to be kind of cleaned up, and some small pieces need to be moved to kind of beat the Eastern Conference champs.
If Jimbo had gotten you to the finals, where does he rank on your favorite Heat players?
Oh, he jumps up over LeBron, because right now it's Wade, LeBron. I may
Haslam.
I might have Timmy or Zoe.
Jimbo Coles.
Steve Smith.
That's really wild. Your depth hurt you when you were spinning a roster spot on Haslam.
Hey, now, how dare you?
It's also great, man. It's great that Kyle Lowry has his postseason heroics and his title already, because this run, I know he was hurt, wasn't totally right, but putting together a 29% from the field playoff run, when you get to game 7 of the conference finals, when you're so close. Also, like, have you guys seen the symmetry of Jimmy Butler in the Game 7 against the Raptors when he was on the Sixers? The same thing where he, in transition, took it to the basket to tie the game before the Kawhi Leonard game winner. So, like, it was almost the exact same play, exact same time on the clock. I don't know if this ran through his head at all, but back in, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever that was, he did go coast to coast and finish to tie the game. And this one, instead of going coast to coast to tie the game, he pulled up from 3, and he's now lost both of those. Again, you don't blame him because he was awesome in both those games. Those were our worst things.
One last Jimmy Butler appreciation.
Yes, John.
There is nothing more pure than the Jimmy Butler mid-drive, mid-jump fake pass that always works. Nothing more pure. He must have done it 6 times that game, and it was like 6 for 6. His defender was gone, mystified by that pass, fake pass.
Those were our worst things. Before we get to the awards segment of the program, we have a single listener submitted question because we already answered the question from Magnus, the croissant questioner.
John asks, if you were hired as the next Trailblazers general manager, a very wealthy position indeed, and wanted to do a rebuild, what would you do to influence Dame Lillard to ask for a trade?
John in the question submits that he would make the team wear Decemberists themed city jerseys throughout the season. It's a good idea. Yeah, the Trailblazers
have a no Colin Malloy policy. Thank you for filling the gaps there.
The Trailblazers did recently hire Mike Schmitz to be assistant GM or something. Hired him from ESPN. I guess that means maybe they're less likely to trade their number 7 pick for a veteran, as they were reported. Now they hired ESPN's draft guy. What would I do to convince Dame Lillard we need to rebuild?
Bring back the Jailblazers.
Oh, anyone something specific? You mean like Kentel Woods or just
Let's just bring them back. Bring back these ghost ballers. I'm sure that they're kicking around. They need a paycheck. Bring them back. That'd chase anyone off the squad, I think, at this point. Yeah, just trade for a bunch of old guys.
I mean, maybe accepting a Lakers first round pick to get rid of Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
Matching,
there you go.
Sending back Justice Winslow, the fully guaranteed Eric Bledsoe salary.
3-team trade. Bring Russell Westbrook and John Wall into Portland. And I think Dame's like, all right, I get it. Fine.
I'm out. Dame is out.
Dame,
Kyrie Irving.
Over. Yes. Bring in Kyrie. Yeah. Overload his position with people who are absolutely abhorrent. Yeah. That'll work. James Harden. Trade for James.
Oh.
I mean, it's interesting that Dame didn't get the memo when they traded away Norm Powell and Robert Covington for,
right.
What was it? Was it a
Justice
second rounder?
Winslow?
Was it for second rounder and Eric Bledsoe?
Yeah, I think.
And I mean, that was kind of like, hey, brother, maybe you wanna move out of here. I mean, I don't know what the Trailblazers are gonna do, but I can't imagine them being really awesome next year.
Every time Dame comes into the locker room, they should play that song "Closing Time," and that's it, just over and over until he leaves the locker room. Sad.
It's painful on many levels.
I mean, I'm all for Dame sticking around if he wants to stick around. If he can try to rebuild, I don't know what the Trailblazers have going for them at this point.
Nothing.
Like we can call it disastrous CJ McCollum trade.
That's 7th pick. What's that going to even do?
I mean, you could trade it for I was making jokes that you could trade it for a veteran. If back in the day, the Grizzlies traded Shane Battier for a 7th pick.
He needs shooting.
If the Trailblazers wanted a Dylan Brooks returning to the land of his college glory.
Let's go.
I know, John, you're on board with it. I'm not even on board with it. I'm not sure you get a number 7 pick who would help the Grizzlies. Like the Grizzlies are in a win now place. We don't need to
let's
draft
go.
Rudy Gay. We need to draft someone to back up. I don't know, but I'm not sure what the Trailblazers are going to do. I like
you want Dame Lillard off your squad. Bring in Dylan Brooks' 24 shots a night.
That could be all it takes. Good question. Thanks for the question, John. If you guys out there want to have your own question answered on air or as part of our monthly Millennial Brunch Zoom video hangout, the croissant questionnaire video, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Also, we play games with our patrons year round. The Stone Cold Locks has hit the finals. We are all chasing. One second.
I'm going to have to go right after we're done. Goldie has hurt herself and we have to go to the doctor.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
It's all right. That doesn't seem serious, but she got a pretty big cut.
We are all chasing Mike, who has 52 points. Mr. Eli has 46 points. Ian has 44. Grizz Tony has 42, despite missing the second round of the playoff submissions. So, hey, good job, Grizz Tony. You're still in it. But all of us who are competing in the Stone Cold Locks Challenge, now that the finals are set, make sure you go fill out your predictions. Also, you have a chance to earn extra points in the contest by correctly predicting finals MVP. And there has never been a more open finals MVP race, it feels like, except for, I guess, it's probably gonna be Steph Curry. So sorry about that.
Yep.
Anyways, if you want to
make this bet, Chucky.
if you want to compete in the mini games that we have all throughout the year that have big prizes, if you want to join our Slack chat, if you want to have your questions answered on air, become a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Visit grindcitymedia.com today for the most up-to-date and exclusive coverage and analysis of the Memphis Grizzlies you can get. Grind City Media is always there, home and road, providing the most comprehensive Grizzlies coverage. Plus, get your local and regional sports fix all in one spot. For more information and behind-the-scenes access on the Grizzlies, visit grindcitymedia.com or follow on Twitter at grindcitymedia. It is now time for the awards segment of the program. The International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given each week to the worst performance in a box score. We have, let's say, one honorable mention. Marcus Smart.
That's honorable? Wow.
4 for 15. We have 3 nominees as they occurred over the past 6 days since our last episode. Actually, all these are from game 5. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. In game 5, Max Strus, 0 for 9 from the field in a loss to the Celtics. He had 4 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 personal fouls. Max Strus, 0 for 9 from the field. In the same game.
Is it Bam time?
Jimmy Butler. 4 for 18. 4 for 18. He had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. No turnovers, 2 personal fouls. And then in game 5, a series clinching victory over the Mavericks, Steph Curry, 5 for 17. He did have 15 points, 9 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, a block, 2 turnovers, and 2 personal fouls. So we have Max Strus, 0 for 9, 4 points. Jimmy Butler, 4 for 18, 13.6 rebounds, 2 steals. Steph Curry, 5 for 17, 15 points, 9 assists, 3 steals. What do you guys think?
I think Curry's out.
I agree. Curry's right out. This is a team award for the Heat. Strus or Butler. Last week, Chuck, you refused to vote for Jimmy Butler. Oh, you abstained. Oh, this is just you and me, John. Is it Strus 0 for 9 or the Butler more volume 4 for 18?
I love that 0 for 9. I'm going Strus.
I don't want to have a tie, so I'm going to go with you. Congratulations, Max Strus, on winning the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award on your 0 for 9 performance. Incredible stuff as he went 0 for 16 in consecutive games.
Wow.
But then in that game 6, he hit those
he hit
wild 3-pointers, some big ones. Then he had that tip dunk. Come on, we had that tip dunk.
That tip dunk was huge in game 7.
So huge.
God, with these numbers, Chuck, that making this a 7-game series, truly amazing.
I mean, it's amazing.
Jimmy.
Also, you look at
he's on the ice shop.
Jimmy and Kyle Lowry both missing a bunch of free throws in game 7.
They missed 8 free throws.
That's painful.
They missed 8 free throws.
Makes me
They
sick.
shot 20% from 3. The team that led the NBA in 3-point percentage shot 20% from 3 and shot under 20%, under 30%, like multiple games, 5 games.
That's rough.
Crap.
Par fadeaway, gentlemen. What things are you looking forward to in the coming week?
Well, now that the season's over and there's no more basketball to be watched, I will look. I think I'm gonna, I don't know, go on a hike.
Become a draft expert?
Maybe.
Might
Yeah.
need a ayahuasca retreat after that series.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a hard thing because I don't know if I can even watch the finals. Like, this is a hard thing to.
It will be a chore, but I look forward to playbacking with some of our fans.
Yeah, we're gonna do a playback for game one and probably for more of the finals games, but definitely game one this Thursday. Join our playback room as we're gonna watch that game. John and I, maybe Chuck, and definitely some special guests. So definitely sign up for that. Look, we'll post those details over on Twitter at Fastbreak Break. Also,
you can just come in and just blast people, Chuck. Just live my
so
life.
We'll do that. I understand that, Chuck. Like, I'm
staying.
super excited for the series because I think Warriors Celtics.
I think it's an amazing matchup. We barely talked about it.
But teams. But like, if I came from where you came from, Chuck, of knowing how close my team got, I don't think I can handle it. I mean, like, right there, that Jimmy Butler shot.
Lost.
You know, like, it's definitely
it's just the way it happened. Hope.
Yes.
Well, so like, looking forward at this series, I think we mentioned how it seems like the Warriors have the advantage.
They're favored
in clutch opportunities, like closing games. We trust Steph Curry and Clay and Draymond and those guys a little bit more. I've seen the Celtics offense devolve far too many times. It feels like, I don't know. So who do you guys think? Do we have predictions for how this series goes? Caveat, I think I've been wrong on almost every prediction I've made in the last couple months.
Sticking to my guns, I called the Celtics to win it all.
You did.
I will stick to Celtics in 6. I know the Celtics like to choke away leads, and they like to look how their offenses has long stretches where they're just shooting perimeter shots, and it's torturous. And if those shots aren't falling, they don't even look good. But I also think they're built for the playoffs and are almost impossible, as Chuck found out, to beat in a 7-game series. I'll take Celtics in 6.
Chuck, what's your leaning? Are you going to wade into these waters?
Spiteful Dubs pick.
No, I think the rest and the experience of the Warriors is going to be in their advantage. I think they can get offense in ways that the Celtics haven't seen yet live in the playoffs. Like, the East is not what the Warriors are doing. You know, it's a lot of like screen roll, pick the worst guy to put in an action, and then one-on-one. The Warriors. No
one plays against that Warrior style better than the Celtics. So they can switch everything, and statistically have had the most success against the Warriors. So
we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be a tremendous series, but I'm going with the experience. I think moments matter. I think we saw the Celtics almost fumble away a series where they clearly had the better team, but they couldn't do it because the moment matters. And, and I think the Warriors will just have those stripes. They earn those stripes, and I think it's going to be the difference in a game or two in a very hard-fought series. So I'm going to go Warriors in 6.
With it being that close, with the Warriors having home court advantage, with what you say, Chuck, I watched this Heat Celtics game very closely, very intently, and the entire time I watched it, my impression was the Celtics are way better than the Heat. But that isn't really how it played out. Like, it came down to the wire in game 7. The whole time I was confused. I was like, all these players on the Celtics are way better than the players on the Heat. Yet Jimmy Butler is doing enough. And it felt at times like the Celtics were kind of choking away these moments. And so, like, that really concerns me. If I want to get excited about the Celtics, looking at the matchup with the Warriors have not seen anything in the playoffs.
Warriors have had a very easy road.
Like the Celtics defense. Like our Memphis Grizzlies, when Tyus Jones became the starter, like, held the Warriors in check offensively. Like, there were 3 games in a row where, like, the Warriors struggled to score. Like, their offensive rating was, I think it was like around 105. This Celtics team is so much better at defense. Like, a full level or two up over what the Grizzlies
orders of magnitude.
Yeah, they're so much better than the Grizzlies defense that I think, like, this could be a shock to the system. for the Warriors. But I'm basically also leaning still that experience thing. I think, you know, the Warriors
I'm with you, Keith. I think the matchup is so strong for the Celtics that if there weren't all of these injury question marks, if they weren't so banged up, I think the Celtics would crush the Warriors. But because of the question marks that Chuck's brought up and the injuries, I think it's going to be a slightly more fun series. But I would not be surprised if the Celtics were. I mean, the Celtics, it's a grindhouse, and the Warriors are really good at defense too. But what the Celtics, to me, and I hate it, but since the new year, the Celtics defense is like the most impressive unit in the game.
Yeah. The Celtics also having to go on the road after this game 7, like this series took you assume it took so much out of them. Then you got to fly cross country to play an arrested Warrior squad. So like maybe you lose that first game already just because it's not saying it's a scheduling loss, but you're up against it.
Although the Celtics are unstoppable on the road and not even good at home for some reason.
That might be true too. Like, honestly, I've been picking against the Warriors so frequently. Maybe I'll just keep doing it and just keep being wrong. Like I'm with you. I think the Celtics are going to win, but if Robert Williams looks like he's moving around like himself / Kyle Lowry, you know, like, all right, you know, that's going to be a big detriment. Like, I think they need a healthy Robert Williams. They need Al Horford to not look as shook as he looked in the last couple games on offense. Cause like they're good when he's knocking his shots down and looks under control. But again, like, you're talking about Al Horford playing his first finals game against the Warriors, playing in the finals for their 6th time in the last 8 years.
Yeah. It's very hard to argue against Chuck's points. All these Celtics players have no idea what they're doing in this moment. They're going into the Roracle, which is an actual, you know, or it's not the Roracle anymore, but you know, they're going into a really good home field advantage. You know, these are the two. It's kind of underrated. These are probably 2 of the best places to play too, and the Boston home games have been almost psychotic with the fans. I mean, just terrifying almost. So it should be, even though I despise both teams, I'm very butthurt about the Grizzlies loss and I can't stand Marcus Smart. It's going to be an interesting and fun finals.
It's so funny. Like, I really like both of these squads so much. It's really weird to have a finals where if I remove myself from like thinking about the national media and the people who cover these teams and like their respective fan bases, just looking at the players, love both of these squads. Like there's something about them. Like I really enjoy like all the different characters and the way they play. It should be awesome. Anyways, that's the full show for today. Keep your eyes peeled for those Stone Cold Locks forums, patrons, also everyone else. It'll be open to the public. Our playback watch party we will do for game 1 of the finals. You can support our show at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at fastbreakbreak. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow Chuck on Twitter, the Mighty Chuck. Follow Master John Burr. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.